Hello, Stars and fellow YouTubians. Thank you for joining me this evening. And tonight we have Ryan with us. Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Ryan Snow. I am a transformational recovery coach at the Center for Wholeness and Wellbeing. We do addiction recovery in a different way, where we really coach people through their life and through trauma and in understanding and compassion and accountability and all the things. And it's awesome. Work with plant medicines a little bit. And I just really love helping people become a little bit of a better person or living a life that they're proud of.
That's awesome. So can you elaborate a little bit on how you work with people, like because you did the wholeness, and do you incorporate the plant medicine into that? Do you bring spirituality into that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So we do the whole person. We talk a lot about nutrition and how our body is in a reactive state when we're putting a bunch of sugar and like we're not really eating at proper times and like how that affects you. And then we talk sleep and how you need to sleep and how to like manage good amounts of that. And a lot of mind stuff where we talk about like behavioral process and emotional regulation. There's a lot of trauma and how the brain systems work and how like that affects how you kind of grew up and how you believe the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
And then the spiritual concept of like we're here to learn, and that addiction really pushes you to a place where you have to pay attention to yourself and make changes in a positive way. You're forcing yourself to like do things so you can live pretty much in a lot of cases. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. What led you into that kind of a career?
So I was an Olympic ski coach for
Oh,
a bunch of years, and then going into one of the Olympics, one of my athletes got really hurt, and I went down this downward spiral and went into this horrible addiction where I kind of really lost myself. And then as I was forced to kind of transform out of that and discover myself, I found that there's a need for people to, or like, yeah, just to help people. And became a driving force of helping this like transformational energy that I experienced. And I did a lot of different things. I know what worked for me. And plant medicine really came into that as a real turning point in one of my experiences, to really give me a foothold of something different than my struggle. And kind of gave me a jumping off point of like really being happy for the first time ever. And it was magical in that way. And then could really build my life from that. Yeah.
wow. So what exactly is plant medicine?
Well, it's all medicine. I see all medicines that come from nature. So a lot of psychedelic or ethanogenic medicines,
Mhm.
or like nutritional things. There's a lot of like, the herbalists are like magicians in some ways, where they know the 1,000 different things that are good for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and all of that stuff, all of the nature type of ways to take care of yourself. Yeah.
That's the best way to take care of yourself. I personally love harvesting dandelions and making dandelion everything. So,
Right. There you go. Yeah. I just read something today about dandelions and how they used to be planted over grass, until we decided grass was the thing that we needed over dandelions. So
I actually
pretty
have a
cool.
little publication called The Weekly Wand and a section called Herbology, and Dandelion Cleanse is what is the topic in that, coming out in a couple of weeks. So it's interesting. This moment isn't the moment for dandelions, but very soon.
Very soon. Yeah. We're going
Very,
to want bees back and life will be
oh,
good. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Nature, bees, outdoors. I love it all.
Yeah, we have a little dandelion patch in our yard, and I'd love to pick them to eat them, but I'm sure there's been pesticides put on that dirt many years before we owned it. So
Yeah, you
not
have
the
to
best
be
thing.
careful when you go and harvest them and pluck them. I have a little, I don't even know what it's called. It's some kind of tool that I put into the ground and it pulls the whole root and everything out. It's
Hmm.
awesome. So then I can make coffee or make these little dandelion root candy things, and it's awesome.
Interesting. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what that tool is called.
I can't remember what it's called. It's like some, it, I think it's meant to pull dandelions, but I just can't think of the name of it.
I'll Google it later, figure it out.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll be able, I'm not at home right now, but when I get home, I'll be able to get the actual name off of it and share that with you.
There you go.
Sure.
Perfect. I'd love that.
So you're also like a self-love coach, correct?
Well, that's where everything stems from. I think a lot of our trauma, well, just the way we view the world, if you don't love yourself, you're like lashing out in all of these different ways that make you feel better about the situation that you're going through. But when you're truly in love with yourself, nothing really bothers you because nothing can hurt you, really. And you're manifesting a life where you're not being attacked or you don't have these things that like have to make you feel safe in all of the ways. Um, so yeah, huge on self-love. Very hard to get there for a lot of people. It takes a long time.
Yeah. And do you
Yeah.
find that a lot of people, when they do get upset with someone, do you find that they're projecting onto them, that maybe somebody said something that triggered something within them, and then they're projecting whatever it is that they're feeling onto that person?
I would say yes, just because we're always creating our own reality. There's only you inside. Nobody ever does anything to you, right? So yeah, that anger is just a reflection of something that you thought of, that you remembered, and there's a reason to be mad about it. But they probably didn't even mean to make you mad. You know, it's just they're saying what they needed to say, and it hit something in you that, yeah, bothered you, right?
So unhealed trauma.
Yeah, and unhealed ideas, and like a lot of people get, yeah, just have different ideas of how life should be, and the ins and outs of like what's fair and what's not fair, and all of those things. Like a lot of it isn't ever like really knowable, you know, like it only fuels your own perception. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me more about, I mean, I love that the plant medicine, the spirituality, the self-love, the transformation, it all plays together. And I think that's wonderful, especially in like wholeness and well-being and coaching and helping people, because we all need that. Every single one of us, even the teacher is the student at some point or another. And someone that may not resonate with you will resonate with someone else, and vice versa. So the more people we have out there that can deliver that healing, the better we are.
I agree. Yeah, and everybody, the more people that are consciously aware of the decisions that they make, the happier we're going to be as a society. You know, a lot of the time we're not even aware of the choices that we're making. It's just educated that you have to have this point of view because this is the person you're told to be. And so be angry about all this stuff. But when you go inside and you see that we're all just supposed to be happy and love ourselves, that none of that stuff really even exists or is true.
Well,
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. As
Yeah.
of lately, we were never taught to love ourselves, right? So that was taboo. That was selfish. Putting yourself
Right.
before anyone else was unheard of.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I agree with that. The
And
self-love piece where you're not selfish though, and you can actually just exist in love and give people their ways and like an understanding and compassion of their experience. That's the true way forward now, I think. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, as soon as we can remove ego from the
Right.
equation, it becomes that much better.
Right. Yeah. Ego is a real thing though, because you never know you're in it or not. You know, I had a real realization just a couple of weeks ago, all of the self-work, thinking I was doing it not an ego, and then getting it Sean, that was all just like all you're giving yourself away was just an ego survival mechanism of, you know, like trying to fit in and be loved and all of things. And it's like really funny to see how it always is just, yeah, something that you're existing in.
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is. I mean, sometimes I have to question because I'll do something and it makes me feel good. And am I doing that because do I get self gratification, or am I doing that for the other person? Like, we really
Right.
need to analyze our motives and why we do what we do some of the times. And
Some
sometimes,
of the time. Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but like a lot of the time, I don't know if we really do. Like sometimes it's okay to like do something and like just for fun.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, there's not a lot of time where you'll actually know the actual thing that you're doing, because it's just there's always a different reason for doing something,
I
and then
think,
picking it apart.
yeah, for myself, I think maybe, and again, I'm only speaking for myself, but
Right,
that question comes up, maybe that's ego. Maybe that's the reason to look into it. If you're
right,
questioning why you're doing something, maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
right. Yeah, well, yeah, that's like really the motto of addiction. Transformation is like if you have to do something and you're hiding it, you're probably doing something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard for people to see that, because people want to get pleasure or like whatever gratification or whatever the instant thing is. It's really hard to separate what parts are true for you and what parts are just a justification for an action that you actually kind of want to do.
So,
Yeah.
what tips do you have for someone that might be having those questions and wondering if they're coming from a place of ego or coming from a place of authenticity?
Well, that's very hard for me to say. Like, I don't know if there's an answer for that, in the ways that um, everybody's experience is totally different, and how people feel about themselves is totally different. Um, Viewing it, and like if you do something for somebody and it actually like gives you joy, probably not in the ego place where you like feel joyful helping or like being in service. If you feel like there's like a transactional thing, probably out of ego. um does that make sense?
It does, and I know it's
Yeah.
tough to answer. I just thought maybe there were some, just a little handful of tips that you could give someone that might say yes or no. But I mean, I get that every single person is different and every situation is different.
Right. Do you mean by like helping you make decisions that are more in alignment with your truth, or like?
Well, that's tough too, I think, because
Yeah.
you really have to sit down with someone and kind of interact with them to.
Yeah. Ego
Yeah.
is crazy, because when you're in a human body and you're here doing the thing with a name and all of the things, it's all ego. It's separate than your like spiritual self, in the way that it exists with a bunch of judgments and ideas, and like billions of them. So you unpacking all of that would be like, it's crazy. Yeah, because like in spirit, we're all just one. It's all everything. Like everything is good, and like nothing really affects you, and it's all just different frequencies and all the things. And so like being physical in a thing where you can touch and experience, I think that we've lost the idea that the experience is magical. To be a human being is the coolest thing you can absolutely do. And so breaking down all the things into right or wrong, it's like kind of redundant in the fact that like just doing things that actually feel good and bring purpose to your life, that's like the thing. And if it's
Yeah.
ego driven, I don't know, like, yeah, it brings good things too, because it drives people to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not
yeah.
sure if you can see our questions, but we have a question from Brian saying, so should it not feel good to help others? Tough call there.
No, it should. Like, well, that's a thing. Like when
That's
it's
the thing, yeah.
when you're in a codependent relationship and you feel guilty when you do something, or like you're doing it and you feel bad, and then you're always around them and you feel like there's an out exchange. It's not that you shouldn't help them, but you just need to reset the boundaries, or say the thing that's bothering you, or work out a way that it actually does feel okay. Lots of people sacrifice themselves, and then when you do that all the time, you're draining, and then you don't actually have an identity. You're just doing all these things for other people without actually knowing yourself. And is it good or bad? there's, again, the experience is perfect. Whatever you're doing is amazing in the ways that you are just existing, and you get to be in a body, and like that's the cool thing.
Yeah.
I try
And
to take the right or wrong out of all the stuff.
so that's the contract we signed before coming down.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know, some journeys are more difficult than others, but who are we to judge whose is more difficult? I have no clue how difficult your journey was or anyone else's.
Right. Yeah. On paper, like some of the stuff isn't so bad, but I did some really bad things. When I was in my addiction, I wasn't a nice person, you know.
And look at that's, you know, that's a kind of molded you into who you are now, and with the abilities to help other people, right? So
I definitely have a really broad perspective of like what suffering can look like for somebody and how you actually get there, you know.
And when you can understand that and empathize and feel into that, I feel that people are better teachers. If you've lived what you're teaching, you have a better understanding. And I find that that's what draws people to certain people, because they feel that connection there, that knowing.
Right. Yeah. A lot of the people, like people say some crazy things, and I don't ever judge them. And I think that's really rare for the person on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows a certain vulnerability and trust, that where you can actually look at yourself, and nobody wants to see themselves as a bad person. But when we can see ourselves that like it maybe wasn't so bad, it was like the best we could possibly do at the time, and I'm ready to do better things. And then you can actually transform. You're not stuck in that guilt or shame frequency, which like drives all of us really right now.
Yeah, well, something that I read, I've read it a few times over the years. It's just a short little meme or paragraph saying, "Don't judge me by the choice I made when you don't know the choice I had."
Right. Yeah. And everything that happened before that choice, you know,
Yeah.
and even if you were making a choice, most people aren't making choices in their lives. They're like just regurgitating the trauma that they had with the reaction from the stimulus. It's not like they're actually like breaking down each moment as like a separate thing, you know.
But we have to in order to deal with that, or we're going to keep living it over and over and over and over again for lifetimes.
For lifetimes. And that's the gift we get right now. Like the energy of the world right now is giving us a pause where we can look at the stuff we want to unpack or not. And I know lots of people said that at the beginning of COVID, but I know a lot of people kind of did do it. You know, a lot of people went inside and looked at what they wanted and how their relationships with their family was. They're like, you know, good or bad. So
it's definitely depending on where you're coming from, but for a lot of people I know, it's definitely been a growing experience.
Growing experience. Yeah. Some people, it might have been more struggling than others, but definitely always growth.
Always growing. Yeah, there's been growth there for everyone. Yeah. In which direction? I can't speak for everyone, but there's been growth for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to speak to a lot of the people, like, and you just like all of people are spending too much time on the internet and like getting all the information, whether they want to believe it's good or bad or whatever, but really getting one side of the story, because that's how the internet works right now. And it's interesting to see friends like that were really well balanced become really jaded in one direction right now. And it'll be interesting over the next little bit when we start to get outside and have normal conversations with people, and you get, if you go back to balance, or you get just that one thing.
It will help the divide?
Like normal conversation?
Yeah, being able to get out and to talk again. Do you think it will help the divide, or do you think it's going to cause more ups and downs before it brings people together?
No, I think that once you're like, if you're around people, like we're just a constantly programmable thing, and like we try to be as present as we can, but all the information that comes in, we make judgments about. That's like why we've evolved so well, right? And so when you can be around more people, and like that's why diversity is such a great thing, because you get a lot of different opinions, and you automatically judge them and correlate them, and like get to a median that keeps you safe. And yeah, people are inherently amazing, I feel. So
Well, yeah.
yeah,
And with that, what I appreciate about that is when you have that kind of diversity and so many different opinions, you can pick and choose and take what you want from each and every one of them and form your own opinion and your own ideas from that.
right. Yeah, and everybody, you will automatically start to do that, like
Mm-hmm.
just in the way that ego works. You know,
Yeah,
you want to fit in, and like the more things you need to fit into, the more rounded your opinion is going to be. Yeah. So yes, being around people and connection is definitely a positive thing.
oh,
Yeah.
I look forward to that. I
Yeah.
I look forward to having a potluck and just sharing with everyone again. And
Right. Yeah. Picnics outside are coming soon.
yeah,
Yeah. Life's going to be good again. Yeah.
absolutely. Life is good. It'll
Life
just
is good.
continue to get better.
Right. Yeah. There's a little bit of coldness in our winter.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, I mean, it was pretty easy going actually in Calgary compared to what it could have been, for sure.
I agree. So you spoke about how, you went down a path, and I don't know if you had to hit rock bottom or not, but you went down that path and then you brought yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
With all of that, and this is something I ask all of my guests, is there anything from that, like, have you ever remembered something you didn't know you forgot? And it could be related to that experience or something else, but I know when it's something traumatic that's happened in your life, you tend to remember something throughout the healing.
Right. Yeah, that I was a good person.
Wow, that's an amazing thing to remember.
Yeah, and that memory actually what is really what helped me transform. All of the weight of all of the stuff that I thought I needed to be punishing myself for can go away, and I can like see it as a gift, and like how it showed me some of the worst parts of myself that I would never be brave enough to go see if I hadn't had that trauma. And but inherently inside, there's a good person there that wants to be in service and to do good things for people and to help. And yeah, so it was really lost for a while, and life was scary. So that's really another thing that it showed me is like how when you change your reality and your mindset, how much different your actual reality is. I remember when I was like really deep into the drugs, I saw the police everywhere. I hated like being around, like, like it was like really everybody was against me. And that was really real. Like there was no way out of it. Everything, like I was afraid of like, well, not afraid, but like spiteful and kind of angry, I guess more angry than afraid. But that was my reality. I was creating that just because that's where my mindset was, and yeah, it's magical. Our minds can do magical things.
What you focus on, you manifest, right? Whether that's
Right.
good or bad,
Good
you
or bad.
manifest where you spend your time, where your thoughts go. That's, you create your own reality.
Right. Yeah. And that became very, very apparent in that transformational process. And even now, like my growing awareness of spirit, how different that shows up for you, even as like a conscious creator. It's pretty cool. We're in some cool times, I think, in that kind of way.
We are, because a lot of people are waking up. And
right.
The amazing thing about that is those of us that have gone through something traumatic are here and waiting for the generation that is waking up right now to guide them and to guide them, just guide them.
Right. What do you mean by waking up? What does that mean to you?
Oh, it means many things. It means many different things depending on who I'm speaking with. But overall, I would like to say waking up meaning realizing that there's more to life than maybe we've been led to believe.
Beautiful.
With everything that's going on, we're losing faith in society. But are we really, or are we actually being invited to go within and learn to trust ourselves again and access our inner knowing?
Right. Amazing. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why we are where we are, right? It's to be that beacon Because if we weren't here and we hadn't gone through what we've gone through, I feel that, we may not be, there wouldn't be that invitation for people to actually go within.
Right.
It would be confusion, and we've already had that.
We've already had that. We've already had that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The work I do, like a lot of like that is just connecting to your emotions and to your heart and
Yeah.
making like helping people be compassionate towards other people's experiences. And like when you see people aren't against you, that then you can be present, and you're not in a fight constantly. Lots of people, especially here in Alberta, are in a fight all the time with somebody, whether it's the government or the oil patch or whoever, but people are fighting. And like just giving some empathy to the other side and seeing the point of view, and like there can be a middle ground and we can actually make some nice decisions. I really feel society's in the best place it's ever been in some of the ways where people are actually doing research and trying to find out like a way that they want to exist. Of course, there's the really 10% on this side and the 10% on that side that are really loud and they get all the publicity. But in the majority of the people I talk to, it's really quite balanced, and like there's a lot of like actual love being shared for us as human beings, a lot of concern of like saving people's lives, a lot of that, like that type of stuff that's like coming to the forefront.
Absolutely. And I mean, another thing that I really appreciate about all of this is we're showing people that they're not alone.
Right.
The diversity is out there, and you don't have to conquer the world by yourself. You don't have to feel that because your belief system is different, or because you're spiritual and not religious, that you're going to be frowned upon or pushed away. There's so much diversity right now. And as much as there's so much that is separating us and trying to divide us, I feel that with everything that's going on, we're actually, the opposite is happening. It's bringing so many of us together.
Yeah. And it's okay to like look into spirituality now, like even the word God is coming back in some circles where it's like, oh, you said God? That's weird. Stop. No,
and it's not
really
only
funny.
used in a religious form anymore, because people are referring to God as universe and as spirit and as source, and
or nature or consciousness or all the things that it is. Right. So it's really cool. Connecting to our souls and our like spiritual path in a way that like is really true for people and not just a dogma that's been fed to you is our new future. It's what's happening. And like people are going to take the parts that they loved out of their religion and how it actually helps them live with free of judgment and like living those truths. I think like that's the direction we're going, and it feels really good.
It does. It does. What was meant to divide and conquer and destroy humanity is actually having the opposite effect, and it's just bringing us together and making us stronger. So I think I love that part of it.
Right. Me too. Me too.
In closing, is there anything you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah. Anybody that's like really sad or down and out. Well, actually, people that are in addiction, that are like, one of my greatest fears was that like I didn't know if I would ever be able to be happy again. And that is everything's possible. You are totally worth saving, no matter what you think. Being the human and going through what you're going through, you're a strong person, and it's totally worth it to, manage your thing and get out and love your family and love your friends and be happy. That's
perfect. And I would like to invite you to leave your contact information in the comments. So if there's anyone out there is seeking help or wants to talk to you, that they can reach out to you. And I would like to thank Melissa from Hayward Eclectic for providing me with yummy mint tea. So, and if anybody wants tea, I'll leave her contact information in the comments. I never remember what to say in closing. Anybody that wants to be a guest on Tea with the Universe, please reach out. You have a story to share that people want to hear. I get a lot of people saying nobody wants to hear what I've gone through. They absolutely do. Someone needs to hear it. Everyone needs to hear everyone's story. So I would like to thank you for joining me tonight, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate my viewers. I know you could be anywhere. You chose to be here tonight. Namaste. Much love.
Much love.
Thank you.